So then, NFL Week 2. Big week in the NFL season, because every week is a big week in the NFL season. We're going to go through and talk about these Sunday games and just another good slate. And I think, at least for us, it was a better performing week in terms of actually picking the games. Both of us improved on our records from last week, even not knowing the winner of the Packers-Lions game yet. Yeah, Jake, what do you think after week 2?
The Raiders are for real.
That's
And I shouldn't say that. My Pittsburgh Steelers winning three games prediction. That's for real. That's actually going to happen. The Raiders do look like they could be a wild card team, though, at least through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Well, I have to agree with you there. I'm just really I'm excited to see how this AFC West shakes out. There's two teams that are 2-0 in the AFC West. The Broncos and the Raiders. Oh my goodness gracious. Did anybody see that coming? No. Not really. I mean, but like we say, we have to pay attention to opponents. But in this case, the Raiders didn't play slouches of opponents. And actually, I mean, this is the first game we have to hit on, so we can really go into it a little bit here. 26-17 is the final. It's not even a one-score game by the end of the game. The Raiders win by 9 in Pittsburgh. I think that may be the even more impressive part. What's the big takeaway here? Is it that the Raiders were able to put up enough points to beat the Steelers? Or, I mean, my thoughts are, okay, they lost TJ Watt and Pittsburgh's offense put up basically the same amount of points as last week. I mean, are we actually shocked by this outcome?
I don't think I am. Just with what you said, Pittsburgh put up the same amount of points that they did last week.
On offense.
On offense.
I have to clarify that.
Yes. And I think that's what you can expect every week from that offense, to consistently put up around that many points. And then you got to hope that the defense makes some plays. And against Buffalo, that defense made plays. And then you lose your biggest playmaker on defense in TJ Watt. You kind of lose the game with him going out.
Yeah. I think that it's absolutely huge losing TJ Watt. I think that probably helped the Raiders offense a ton once they were able to be in the game without worrying about him, because there's already so much to worry about on the O-line. But I think it just points even more so. Being able to put up 26 against that defense is very good. I would be happy with 26 points against the Steelers no matter who I was. But I think the Raiders are definitely, after 2 games, proving to the rest of the league with the 2 teams that they played that at the very least their offense is for real, and their offense is going to be able to put up enough points no matter who they play to have a chance to win a game.
Yeah, and they didn't even have Josh Jacobs in that game, too. So you're playing with your backup running back. I mean, toss a healthy Josh Jacobs in there, because he wasn't even healthy last week either. Toss a healthy Josh Jacobs in there, that helps out that offense a ton, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, Pittsburgh, still wondering about that offense. That's really the major takeaway for me. I'm not worried about their defense, obviously, but it's just how are they going to be able to put up enough points? And they got to 23 last week off of a special teams touchdown that helped them. But this week they don't get that, and this week they don't come out on top. So, I mean, it's really going to be up to Ben Roethlisberger how far this team goes, and I think we've been saying that all offseason. So we're going to have to see if he can trend up or trend down from here, because that's what it's all riding on. San Francisco at Philadelphia. What are you thinking here?
I was surprised with how much of a fight Philly put up in this game. Jalen Hurts was balling. He looked really good. It's not going to show in the touchdowns or really like any of the box score, but he had some great plays with his legs and with his arm against a great San Francisco defense. Jimmy G looked okay, but that was against the middling to low tier defense that the Eagles have. With how close that game was for a majority of it, and then the Niners eventually broke away there towards the end. But with how close it was for the longest time, very impressed with the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have to say, I actually thought, I mean, just because the Niners were on the road and the Eagles were, coming off a hot game from Atlanta, I I thought that they would be able to keep it close, basically like they did. It ends up being a 6-point game, 17-11 final. But I definitely thought it was going to be higher scoring. I thought that, even though the Eagles defense was good, the Niners just, their scheme is great, and I thought they'd be able to put up a solid amount of points. And the Eagles, on the other hand, their offense just looked so prepared last week. I thought they'd be able to do it again. And there were a lot of positive plays from them. But I didn't think it'd be as much of a dogfight in terms of just being able to put points on the board, really. I mean, 28 points total is not a lot nowadays. And the Niners come out on top, which is what we predicted, just not really the way I thought it would go with how well really both these defenses performed. And I think that there are definitely positive takeaways for both these teams in this game, which you can't necessarily say about every other game in the league. Most of them you can't, for real. And I don't know. I feel like as if I was a fan of either of these teams, I'd be happy with how this game went, honestly.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Now, Texans at Browns. Oh boy. Where do we begin with this one? I mean, check out Davis Mills' video coming if it hasn't been released yet. Look at our channel, see if it's there. But without touching on that, what did we think of the Browns being able to pull off a 10-point victory over the Houston Texans?
Did we overrate the Browns? Like, just I know you're higher on them than I was, but we were both like up there with them. Tyrod Taylor was torching that defense for the time he was in that game. Uh, I give it up to the Texans. Like that team has put up a great effort in these first two games that I don't think anyone was expecting from them. At least in the second game, I was expecting in the first. But yeah, Cleveland. I mean, Baker finally came and showed up after he got dinged up there, but they are not looking up to snuff. I was expecting them to just blow this team out.
The Chiefs are arguably the best, if not the second best team in the NFL. The Chiefs won so many games by one score last year. If you're winning a game by two scores in the NFL, I'm fine with it. Especially with seemingly, haven't looked into it, but seemingly from my perspective, how clean a game the Texans played, especially while Tyrod Taylor's in there. They're not turning the ball over. That can make games a lot closer. If you're playing against a team that doesn't turn the ball over and you still win by 10, it's a fine win to me. I'm not worried about the Browns at all by this. I just think that the Texans are playing smart football at this point, even though their roster isn't as talented, and it's still a double-digit victory. So I don't think it's anything to worry about for the Browns at all.
All right. I don't know. I was just a little shocked. I was kind of going into this game with the mindset of Cleveland just winning this by the end of the first half.
I really wasn't. So, yeah, no, this is kind of how I saw the game going. Maybe would have said 13
You saw
instead of 10.
You saw Davis Mills getting the key to City Hall in Houston in this game.
No, but that is not at all what the storyline was from that game, anyways. Okay, Broncos, Jaguars. My big takeaway from this game is Jamal Agnew got loose again. He scored a long kick return touchdown, and I saw that while it was happening. That was very enjoyable, but the Broncos controlled this game. It really wasn't close, and now the Broncos have played two opponents that we don't really think are too great, but they are 2-0. And that's 2-0 on the road, which is maybe even more important. That's really setting the Broncos up for some success. And this AFC West is getting more and more interesting, especially if this trend continues. So what are you thinking after this one?
Well, I mean, if that Browns-Texans game went how you thought it went, that this game went exactly how I thought it was going to go. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to struggle with turnovers the whole season with that offensive line he has. I mean, we joke about like, oh, Urban Meyer said go and get me that Detroit receiver, and then they end up getting Marvin Jones and
Jamal Agnew.
Jamal Agnew when he was really talking about Kenny Galladay. I think even if Kenny Galladay was there, it wouldn't help. I mean,
Yeah.
actually, he might be more effective there than he is with the Giants
Yeah, I
because
think that's true.
yeah, uh, but turnovers are going to be one thing that Trevor Lawrence struggles with, and it's not going to be his fault. Really, he's going to be chucking balls up out of desperation because he needs to make plays because he's the only playmaker on that team. Not having Travis Etienne really hurts, but also the lack of involvement of James Robinson in this offense is shocking. Uh, and I mean, all the James Robinson fantasy owners out there are probably more upset about it than I am. But it just seems like Urban Meyer went into the season with, yep, ETN's our starting running back, and we're not going to use James Robinson at all. And then, oh, now James Robinson's like the only running back you have. And he's like, oh, let's go with Carlos Hyde here because I don't want to use James Robinson for some reason.
Yeah, I haven't been digging into their running back rotation too much recently, but it's an interesting thing to take note of there. And the offense just hasn't obviously been doing enough to keep them in these games because early on, one of the reasons that hasn't been much reason to pay attention to the Jags game is it felt like the Broncos jumped out early and it didn't feel like the Jags had any chance to get back. And that was the same thing that happened in week one. The Texans jumped out early and the Jags really didn't have a chance to get back at all. Didn't feel anything sparking from their offense much at all. Just kind of concerning. But if you want to look at the teams that have really had the worst starts to their season, like just the least competitive, it's really been the Jaguars and Jets, and I think easily the thing that you could point to for both of them is just how their lines have played. They've just been absolutely atrocious and not been helping the quarterbacks at all. And I think also that they are probably top 2 in interceptions each right now. So just shows
Yeah.
there.
Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence are among elite company. In their first two starts, they along with Nate Peterman are the only three QBs to throw 5 interceptions in your first two starts. So pretty good company to have.
Wonderful statistic. I hope you're right about that. I mean, I haven't seen it anywhere, but I can't believe that I haven't seen it anywhere if it's true. That's wild to me. Um I can't believe that you hit this game so nail on the head. I mean, you killed this pick because the Panthers beat the Saints by 19 points. Man, I I trusted Sean Payton. I saw what he did against Green Bay, and I said, yeah, I like that to continue. And I saw the Panthers only beat the Jets by 5 points, and I said, yeah, they should have beat the Jets, but honestly, they could have won by more. Then they just go and stomp all over the Saints. Is it a divisional thing, or did I just miss something obvious that you knew was gonna go well?
Maybe a little bit of a divisional thing, but I think better secondary too in Carolina than Green Bay. I mean, Green Bay has the superstar in Jair Alexander, but Carolina just has an overall better unit, in my opinion. So I knew that just the looks that they would give James would be a little bit more troubling than some of the looks that they can because of the lack of athletes in the secondary for the Green Bay Packers. Uh, yeah, like I told you going into that prediction one, if week one my predictions were like coming just from my gut, I don't know what these were coming from because my intestines. Because these I just had a feeling. I told you when I predicted it. I write everything in pen. I wrote Carolina, and then I scratched it out. It was New Orleans, and then I was like, that doesn't feel right. Scratched it out again and went Carolina. So
Yeah, no, I have to say, if there's honestly a game, because it's just like trying to figure out time wise what games I actually want to go back and just see what happened. Last week, I had to go back and watch Atlanta and Philadelphia just to really know what was going on. I think this week, if there's one game that I want to go back and see the whole thing on, it's really going to be Saints Panthers because that was just like the shocker of the week for me. Next up, Rams Colts. I did say right at the tail end of our prediction episode, this one could be tight at the end, and I mean we're both like picking the Rams immediately, like it's almost a guarantee. Colts put up a good fight, but the Rams come out on top 27-24.
Yeah, I mean, the Rams just decided to run I don't know if the PP on the punt did that of his own volition, or that was something that they had drawn up for him to motion to the other side and then take the snap right to the leg and have it bounce into the end zone for an easy touchdown for the Colts there. But it was interesting. I've never seen it. When you got Johnny Hecker, you could run some interesting stuff on punts. So I'll give that to the Rams. I mean, not having Carson Wentz there towards the end when they could have tried to come back. Yeah, I mean, the game was kind of out of reach there, and having Jacob Eason come in wouldn't have changed anything. But these next games, Jacob Eason looks like he's going to be in there because Carson Wentz has 2 sprained ankles.
Yeah, I don't know how you sprained both your ankles. That's honestly really impressive. But like we said for the Colts, not an easy start to the year, and yep, they're already at that 0-2 record that we thought they definitely could be sitting at, while not even being that bad of a team. Just tough sledding for them. While the Rams go to 2-0, playing in a place that is tough to play in, and just looking good in terms of what we thought their offense could be this season. Maybe even a little more offense we thought potentially, but 27 points is not a bad week at the office, and it was enough to win, so that's the most important thing.
And Matt Stafford found his favorite target on the Rams, too, and Cooper Kupp almost having 200 yards in that game.
Well, I mean, Cooper Kupp's just ridiculous sometimes, how wide open he gets. I remember the game in London, I think like 2 years ago. It was just like, dude, why is nobody covering Cooper Kupp just at all? Just no one covered him the entire game. Just like, forget about him. They'll be fine. Our favorite team, the Bills. Wow. We've already talked about it because we can't hold back from talking to each other about our Buffalo Bills. But man, if you did not see this game, I'm pretty sure all the headlines this week are probably going to say, "Oh yeah, the Bills did it. The Bills really showed up." Yeah. This was about as even though the final score is a huge improvement from last week, and we're happy we got the win. This game was about as underwhelming of a 35-0 victory as you could ever have. And I don't know, maybe you can lead off on that a little bit.
No, it's the most underwhelming shutout ever. The offense,
especially with the fact that they won by 35 points and got the shutout. It wasn't even just like a 7-0 win. It was
a blowout shutout, and it's just really underwhelming. The offense looked awful. It still looked bad. I mean, it improved from last week, so I'll give it that. It improved from last week. Still looked awful. I shouldn't say the offense. Josh Allen still does not look that good. He was making some better reads. He was completing some other passes. But like you said when we were talking yesterday about this game, it's like, yep, routine play, don't make it. Routine play, don't make it. Routine play, don't make it. 41-yard pass up the sideline to Stephon Diggs. Complete that, but if you would have let him 2 more yards, it would be a touchdown. It's just... Yeah, it's really frustrating with that offense, but then the defense just balled out of their minds. So you want to be really mad at the offense, but at the same time, the defense looks way much improved, at least over these past couple years.
I think the weirdest thing as Bills fans has been the fact that whenever we start feeling confident about one thing, the other thing just goes down the trash can. Like, it's always been this way. It's like I could literally point to you year by year. Some years we were just trash and neither side of the ball was good. But if we were any bit competent in any season, I could say offense led, defense led, offense led, defense led, offense led. This team basically from that 2017 year was defense oriented realistically with Tyrod Taylor ball controlling it. 2018 was one of the years I was talking about where it was just down the trash can. Everything was terrible. 2019 was back to the defense-centric stuff and what was able to get us into the playoffs. And then 2020 was like, okay, the offense is finally about to take off, but the defense is now downtrended. And this year, are we really going to see it flip on its head again? It's like, come on, guys. I mean, I don't... And I hate to say like this, but I really don't think that what you've mentioned this before, but it's still kind of hard to reiterate correctly. Is like defense wins championships given that in the first place you have an offense. You have to have an
Mm-hmm.
offense first. And we've seen better things from the running game from the Bills offense, but in terms of the pass game, it's just been disgusting, especially how much we just paid Josh Allen, and now it's seemingly like he's having some of the worst accuracy problems of his career. Not even like just this year or whatever, like, oh, it's bad for this year. It's of his whole career in Buffalo. Because the things that really made his accuracy, like his not even his accuracies, his completion percentage looked terrible like his rookie year, was the fact that he had crappier receivers. He's just
Yeah.
missing throws now, which he wasn't doing like the past 2 years even. Like he just wasn't missing throws before. And now he's missing like 30% of his throws in these first 2 weeks of the season. I don't know. That's what it feels like. And then if you're only able to complete 70% of your passes, then getting to 50% completion percentage is probably pretty good. Because then that's not accounting for stuff like good defensive coverage or anything like that. But yeah, no, we had the deep probably touchdown pass to Diggs up the sideline that he underthrew, and then Diggs made a great play, and it shows up on the highlight reel because of what Diggs did. But no, it's really been some annoying bad stuff. And the other thing I said to you, sorry for ranting, this will finish off the
It's all
rant though,
good.
um, uh, is just that I don't understand how I'm like, oh, okay, last week it was just because he could never really get settled in. He'll have a play this week and it'll settle him in. And it was like after first drive was one long touchdown run quick. He didn't have an opportunity to settle it. Second drive, he hit a nice pass after throwing a few bad incompletions that he just missed on. He hit a nice pass that was like 30 yards, kind of like a seam ball type thing, but it was over the outside shoulder of the receiver really. And I was like, bruh, okay, now he's got it. Now he's gonna heat up. And then he didn't. He like slowed down, and then he got the snap in the red zone where he rolled right and fired back to Diggs across the middle for the touchdown. I'm like, okay, now he's gonna heat up, and then he still was missing throws, and it just
Mm-hmm.
kept going the entire game. And it was like, why is he not getting comfortable? Something's up with him. I really feel like something's up that we just can't know about because it just doesn't feel right to have it flip on its head this much.
It feels like he has to be covering up some injury or something. Like it just I don't want to make excuses for the guy, but it just feels like something is wrong. But I want to kick it over to the Dolphins now. Talk about them for a little bit in the Bills Dolphins game. You might have a better quarterback now as your starting QB if Jacoby Brissett plays and Tua isn't there.
Yeah.
So there's that. Uh,
I'll say on Jacoby Brissett, I felt more threatened once he entered the game than Tua. The problem is just like the Jets and Jaguars I already mentioned, the Dolphins line looked about as poor as an offensive line could look against a Bills defensive line that couldn't get much of any pass rush going against the Pittsburgh Steelers last week. Um, when it just came down to pass rushing Ben Roethlisberger, they couldn't get to him. This week they turned it up. Although I will say the guys who were getting significant snaps this week were the younger guys, as opposed to last week. It felt like they were given a lot more veterans opportunities, and it felt like that could have rejuvenated it. So maybe we shouldn't say that the Bills' defensive line is completely terrible and it's all on Miami's offensive line. Maybe the young guys are going to be able to do something good for the Bills this season, but Miami's O line, just based off the 2 weeks of tape we have, one considered crappy O line in Pittsburgh was able to hold up, and you looked really bad against this Bills defensive line.
yeah, and just rounding out this conversation with Miami. If Jacoby Brissett's going to be the starting QB for 3, 4, 5 weeks until Tua gets back from his injury, I don't know how long you could be out for bruised ribs. You need to change the playbook a little bit because whenever it's third and long, it's just okay. Tua, you can't throw the ball deep at all, and it just seems like Brian Flores call the offense, but whoever calls the offense for the Dolphins, uh, is just looking at the play sheets like, all right, this is what we do in this situation with Tua. There, we throw a rocket screen. It's like don't do that with Jacoby Brissett. He has enough arm to throw it 15 yards and get the first down in the air. It just seemed like that was their game plan whenever it was third and like unmanageable.
Yeah.
Like 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 10.
I'm sad you don't know the names of each of the 2 offensive coordinators that are coaching for Miami. But with that being said, did it really come out that Tua's injury was just classified as bruised ribs?
Yeah, that's what it came out as.
Rib injuries hurt. I'm not going to doubt that at all. But I've seen Tony Romo play with multiple broken ribs, and the fact that Tua only had bruised ribs and still like just wouldn't come back into the game. I mean, if it was a broken rib and he didn't play, even just one, because I'm pretty sure Romo had multiple, like I would be like, yeah, don't play with that. That's crazy. But man, I just feel like I don't know. I don't love to say this, but I really don't know how invested Tua actually is in the game of football, and I think that is very scary as a Dolphins fan. And as a Bills fan, I don't want to harp on that too much. But I mean, realistically, if I was a fan of the Dolphins, I would be very scared that my quarterback just isn't invested enough into this game that pays him a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can move on finally, I guess, after all that. Also, just should mention one more thing here. I'm going to try to say this as quickly as possible. Josh Allen people are going to keep doing this against Josh Allen from now on. They're going to overload the right side of the offensive line on any pass downs and force him to go to his left. He is significantly worse moving left than he is moving to the right, but also on top of that, he is compounding it and making it even worse because for whatever reason in these first 2 weeks of the season, he has been unwilling to flip his hips to actually open up and be able to throw the ball. He's just been like stepping, like trying to manage it like he's managing the pocket when it's not able to create a pocket because teams are rushing 3 off the right side of the line and 1 guy off the left edge, and it's just not doable. So I have to point that out. With that being said, the Patriots absolutely whooped the crap out of the Jets 25-6 over the weekend. I am very happy to say that Bill Belichick did exactly what I thought he'd do. He made Zach Wilson look absolutely atrocious, and the Patriots look very clean, well-coached team, and we're just able to do things right. And Mac Jones is even getting in on awesome touchdown, ground and pound touchdown runs where he pushes the pile into the end zone. So, I mean, this is just a really enjoyable football team for me to watch, even though they're in our division.
Yeah, I got two negative things to say, one on each of the QBs. Zach Wilson, you are who I thought you were. It's 2 weeks into the season. I feel confident saying you're the worst QB drafted this year, my guy. And Davis Mills was drafted this year too.
Jeez, we haven't even. We can wait for Thursday night. I am so excited for Thursday night. But yeah.
And then for Mac Jones, the negative thing I gotta say about him is Mac. It's 3rd and 2. Just take off and get it. Don't throw the ball 50 miles an hour straight at the ground because there's a guy 3 yards ahead of you when you can pick up 2 yards. Or at the very least, throw it at the running back's feet if you don't want to get hit. He's done that in 2 consecutive weeks where he's just chucked it like straight in the dirt. The moving spike. It is one of the coolest plays ever. But you get flagged for it every time. And like the first week he did it, I was like, oh, okay, like that's just a rookie mistake. And then I'm like, but Belichick's gonna be like, don't ever do that ever again. And then he does it again the very next week, just 1,000 miles an hour straight to the ground. Put a defender's right in front of him.
You think Belichick's saying that he's dumb doing that? Belichick's actually coaching him to do that. He's just missing slightly. He's almost got it down. He'll get it just enough so that it's not a flag next week. I actually haven't seen what you're talking.
At the defender's foot.
I haven't seen.
Spike it at the defender's foot, so that way it looks like yeah.
I haven't seen what you're talking about, but I'm still very confident in Mac Jones, and the fact that they were able to matriculate the ball down the field is all that I care about, and it seemed like they did that fairly effectively against the Jets.
Yeah,
I mean,
Mikey
they're whipping out. I'm sorry, I cut you off, but they're whipping out the toss throwback to Mac Jones to get a 12-yard gain to Jonnu Smith. Is there anything else that says matriculate the ball down the field like a trick play to be able to pick up 12 yards?
no, that's just like peak Patriots there, and I love it. But I mean, Mikey LaFleur needs to draw something up better for Zach Wilson. I mean, like, it's a rookie offensive coordinator and a rookie QB going up against Bill Belichick and his defense.
With
So I'm not
their
gonna,
O line.
yeah, and I'm not gonna give it too much hate. Also, Shaq Lawson, I love you, buddy. Why did you try to decapitate Mac Jones?
Mm,
I'm not sure if you saw
didn't.
that play. Shaq Lawson just like went helmet to helmet straight at Mac Jones, just trying to take his head clean off, and that was the one play I got when I switched in between the Bills and Dolphins game when it went to commercial. I was like, "Oh, what's going on with the Jets?" And I just boom, Shaq Lawson. Like, oh, he's the best player on that defense, or on that defensive line, I should say, not on that defense.
Yes, you're right. Um, Next game on the slate was Bengals at Bears. I am just going to complain for a second because I would have been 3-0 in my upset picks for the week if literally what I thought was my most important learning point of week 1, which was that I should pick the better quarterback, had actually played out in this game because Joe Burrow threw a pick 6, and that basically in the final score was the reason the Bears lost, even though the Bengals really tacked most of their points on the end at the end. Just in terms of the final score, that was the reason that the Bengals lost the game, and I'm slightly upset about that. But really thought this one was going to be a close one. Knew that the Bears were the home team, so and they were favored, so not shocked by anything that happened in this one.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be a close one, but I picked the right winner. Um, Justin Fields getting in there for a bit got me hyped because I was like, "Ooh, he's gonna do something," and then he's not gonna let go of this job. But he did not look that good in the time he got. And Matt Nagy just seems like the type of idiot that's like, "Oh, well, the rookie QB looked as good as Andy Dalton out there."
So we're going with
So,
Andy.
so we're going with Andy Dalton. I think I tweeted something like that out, or I might have just said it to my family that I was watching the Bills game with when I saw the news that Justin Fields went out there and he threw an interception. It's just like, yep, there, he's going to look just as good as Andy Dalton, but he's not going to improve at all, at least in Matt Nagy's head. He needs to still sit behind Andy Dalton to get better than Andy Dalton.
Yeah, he does. Logically. That only makes sense.
Hmm.
Um I don't know.
Coach of the year. He won Coach of the Year, though. Remember that. He won Coach of the Year.
Jamar Chase caught another nice touchdown in garbage time, basically. So I guess I mean it felt like it was over after last week, but I feel like it's fully confirmed that we don't have to worry about the drop problems for the rest of the season unless they just somehow come back out of nowhere. But he seems all set, so that's good for the Bengals. That's basically all I got in the rest of the game. Though. You ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Bucks Falcons. This basically went as I thought it would. I mean, I said to you before the games Sunday, I said, don't worry about the Falcons offense. They really don't seem like they have anything to worry about. Just a really weird set of situations that played out against Philadelphia. And the Falcons offense, relatively speaking, did their job putting up 25 points on the board. But when your defense allows 48, and I don't know, you have to say allows 48 against the Buccaneers. I mean, the Buccaneers offense is pretty hard to stop, but geez, try to get a few stops out there.
The defense
Yeah.
didn't allow all 48 of those points, though. Matt Ryan was doing too much at the end there to get the team back in it and threw some picks that were brought back for touchdowns. I mean, this game didn't go how I thought it was going to go because the Falcons were in it until like late in the fourth. It was a close game until late in the fourth, and then like the Buccaneers scored, putting them up 10, and then Matt Ryan just I don't think no matter how old you are as a QB, you're going to feel that pressure when it's like, we're down 10, 5 minutes left. I need to make a play here, and he was doing too much. I shouldn't say doing too much. He threw the ball and it got tipped and picked and brought back for a touchdown. and then they did it again, and it got picked and brought back for a touchdown. I think he threw two pick sixes there late, or threw two picks, and one of them was brought back for a touchdown. The other was brought back close to score. Uh, and then they put in Josh Rosen at the end, which I hated. You should have put in Felipe Franks. Why did Josh Rosen immediately get the backup QB job? You signed him, and he just immediately got the backup QB job. I don't like that. And then the Buccaneers, yeah, your team's good. I don't know what else you really want me to say about this team. Tom Brady, maybe age still hasn't caught up with him.
Well, I mean, there's some analysis for you. I will say, though, the other 3 4 o'clock games, absolutely amazing. Every single one came down to the last play being a field goal. And I said it. I said it before the games this week. I said the game for me to watch this week for whatever reason is definitely going to be Vikings Cardinals. And honestly, these 3 games that we have left for the 4 o'clock window were all great, but I think I was right to say that the Vikings Cards one was the best.
Yeah, and you didn't even know who was calling the game either.
No.
When you said that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that at all. Gus Johnson was a happy surprise for me when that game began. But what were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Same with Zach Wilson, Minnesota. You are who I thought you were. I mean, they were in it. They were in it for a while there. Kirk Cousins ran a great 2-minute drill to get them in there to field goal range, but I mean, Vikings kickers, man, just something about them. Greg Joseph, I really feel for you. Kyler Murray still maintaining MVP status. He had a couple ugly.
Just remember, I said it before you did. So if he wins, we have to make it very clear that I was the one who called it.
All right, but if Matt Stafford wins, then we have to say I'm the one that called it.
Oh yeah, that's fine. But they only put up 27, and the Cardinals put up 34 this week. So
yeah, but 34 against the Vikings.
Okay, yeah.
But Kyler Murray still maintaining that MVP status that you've bestowed upon him. Their weapons look great. I mean, AJ Green. Aqib Talib had a great roast of AJ Green, where it's like, yeah, AJ's got to stay focused on that. He never was really focused when I was playing against him, though. So I like that. And yeah, AJ Green looks like he's the worst receiver of the lot out of all those receivers. Just he had some pretty ugly drops, and everyone else caught. Kyler Murray, the ball touched the ground for him, I think, 6 times. He threw 2 picks, and then the rest were completions. He threw 6 incompletions. I think 3 of those were AJ Green drops.
Well, that's pretty disappointing. From a few of the athletic plays I saw AJ Green had, I thought you were going to say that he looked all right. But okay, I mean, that's fair. I mean, all the other receivers looked great too. I mean, one of the guys we picked on all offseason was Rondale Moore. And boy, if we thought, oh no, coaching here, there's no way they get the most out of him, and we already weren't huge fans of him. Well, they're doing a pretty good job. I mean, it could just be the fact that they're having him run 90 yards down the field every play and eventually find the open space once Kyler scrambles. And if that's what they're doing, that's fine, but it's working. So, I mean,
great game plan for him. That's what I would do if I was the coach.
Keep doing what's working. But I picked the Cardinals in this game, and I got all the games right in the 4 o'clock window, which made me pretty happy. But with that being said, I'm still geez, man, the Vikings were right there, and now they've got really 2 tough losses 2 weeks in a row. I'm not ready to completely give up on them yet. They're still a middle of the road team.
Still got to play the Chargers. They still got to play the Chargers.
Yeah, they're still a middle of the road team for me. Oh no. The game of the year is Week 7, New England and LAC, not the Vikings. Not the Vikings. Do they actually have them on their schedule though? I do.
Yeah.
Oh geez. Oh boy. But no, the game of the year is New England and LAC. Remember that. Yeah. No, but Kyler Murray still for MVP, and the Vikings I'm not ready to give up on yet. I mean, there was plenty of stuff to look good at for each of those teams. Tennessee and Seattle. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about this.
Tennessee, Seattle. I mean, this game was a nail biter. I picked the Seahawks to win this. It was actually my lock for the week was the Seahawks to win it. And
shoot, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I was feeling pretty good about that lock until 8 minutes or 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I really thought for a moment there Mike Vrabel wasn't going to worry about sending it to overtime and he was going to try to win it in regulation and go for two. I really thought he was going to try to do that. Uh, but the Seahawks look I I mean, we were hating on the Seahawks a lot. We don't think that they'll be bad. We just don't think that they'll be as good as like everyone's expecting them to be. Hanging with the Titans the way that they did. I mean,
I said this off season. I mean, we're really giving a ton of love to the Niners and the Rams, but this division is so good that I would not be shocked if it's completely flipped on its head by the time the end of the season comes around from what our predictions are. And it still could happen. I mean, you're absolutely right. The Seahawks have not looked bad, but my main takeaway from this is what I said before the game is that I just can't for the life of me see the Titans dropping to 0-2. It just doesn't feel right with what their roster is. They may have some down weeks like they had in week 1, and I wouldn't say that their game this week was perfect, but they were playing in a good team in a really tough environment to play in, and they managed to pull it out. So that was my huge takeaway.
yeah, I can't imagine Houston being the #1 team in the AFC South either. So I guess it's just good for my sanity when I look at the rankings and everything for the Titans to also be up there with one-on-one with the Texans. Just very disappointed that this is my first lock that wasn't right this season. It's
Yeah.
so early.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I'm 0-2 in locks, so I mean, we'll get to that soon enough. But sadly, there was a big disappointment in the next game we had. I was right in terms of picking the winner. The Cowboys were able to beat the Chargers 20-17, but the Chargers had a touchdown called back on an illegal formation penalty, if not an illegal shift penalty.
Illegal shift.
One of the two, and that would have given them a big enough lead that the Cowboys would have had to try to score a touchdown on their last drive. And you know what I said would happen on the last play of the game had that played out. Didn't, but, the Cowboys still won in the end, which was what my prediction was. So I guess I should be happy about that. I mean, I'll say this. I was not expecting this affair to be this low scoring. That is not what I was expecting at all. 20-17 is not the final that I thought I was going to see. And matter of fact, the first quarter ended 14-3, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll get scoring, and I'm sure the Chargers will catch up to the Cowboys. But no, the Cowboys basically just tuned down for the rest of the game, and the Chargers had to play a little catch up the rest of the game. It was very interesting to see how this game went, but I mean, a close battle that came down to the end is what I expected. So these two teams could meet up again and the Chargers could take the next one. It wouldn't be shocking. Doesn't really change my perspective on either of them too much.
Yeah, this game felt like going into it that if this game were to be played 100 times, one team would win the game 50 times and the other team would win the game 50 times. It didn't seem lopsided
Regardless
at all.
of the home team even, because
No,
neither of
regardless
them
of the home
have
team.
like two strong home games.
Yes. I'm just disappointed with the Chargers, man. Come on. Come on. I'm expecting so much out of you. Brandon Staley, though, still the best.
I don't know about that. I mean, I said the run defense would be the spot that I'm worried about, and Zeke scored a touchdown against them. You know how much of a fan I am in terms of Zeke running the ball?
I mean, like you said, it was a low-scoring affair. Just all-around good showing by the defense. But I watched that play where the illegal shift on the Chargers. I'm not too familiar with illegal shifts. I might have to rewatch it again because I only watched it once, but it didn't look like
I will
an
tell
illegal
you.
shift to me.
I will tell you, hearing a legal shift get called, I was not watching it live, but hearing that it got called is shocking to me because the amount of times I see motion that is heading towards the line of scrimmage that I'm like, that should be a penalty, and it doesn't get flagged. I'm just like, okay, they just don't care about calling that because they think it's a stupid penalty. It is shocking to hear that it got called for any sort of play.
Yeah, Jerry must have called down. He was in the owner's box.
Must have
He's like,
been.
yeah, why don't we call that? Why don't we call that touchdown back there, boys? Whatever you say, Mr. Jones.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good, sir. Yeah, no. I'm still excited to keep watching those quarterbacks the rest of the season, though. Sadly,
Oh
Dak
yeah,
didn't throw any touchdowns, though, so that was disappointing for my fantasy team, but
Sean McVay defense, baby.
won the game, so that's all you can ask for as a Cowboys fan. All right, now let's talk about that Sunday night football game that just went absolutely nuts. First thing I'd like to point out, I was dead on in terms of predicting how many points the Chiefs would score. 35. The only problem is I completely underestimated Lamar Jackson in terms of just being able to completely take over a game. Because if there's one team that I didn't think Lamar Jackson would just be able to go into takeover mode in against, it's Kansas City. But hey, he just did it and showed everybody in the world that he can do it. And
Yeah,
every time the Ravens have played at home on Sunday Night Football, home Sunday Night Football, they have looked nasty, and it may just be a trend that continues forever to never pick against the Ravens if they're the home team on Sunday Night Football.
yeah. Lamar looked really good, and I don't think I'll ever doubt him again because I was really doubting him going into this one. Just with not him specifically, just with the lack of help that was around him. I'm like, yeah, beating Kansas City's hard when you got superstars all around you. It is going to be super hard to win it with a fifth string running back, and you're missing your top pick at wide receiver. So very, very, very happy for Lamar showing out like that. Defense looked good. Jerry Sneed didn't have as good of a game as I thought he would, so I'm pretty disappointed in that. Travis Kelsey, bunch of great plays. Specifically that one touchdown where he just like ran all over the field and was whoop whoop. Love that. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a great game. It's just funny though that when we were talking about it yesterday night or last night, just like, yeah, do we really need to watch this? We know how it's gonna go. Like,
I mean,
especially
I
after
mean,
that
you
first
said
quarter.
it. Listen, you said that. I didn't say that. I just was really tired because I felt like the rest of the games took a lot out of me, and I did not watch the second half of the game live, but I game passed the second half of it as soon as I saw the final score because I was like, "How did this play out?" And I was just like, "Geez, man, this was a heck of a game." And I will say the thing that shocked me the most about watching it back was the fact that the Chiefs had what was I think it was I don't want to get it wrong, but I may get it wrong here, so please don't kill me if I do. Like a 15-point lead with 22 minutes to go in the game, and they shut down. Like they didn't put any more points on the board. And with that being said, they actually also managed to allow the Ravens to score enough points to get back into the game. I'm not shocked that the defense could allow 16 in that amount of time. I'm shocked the offense wasn't able to put anything on the board in that time. And it really came down to the fact that they had two tough turnovers that killed them. Because I think if either of those turnovers just turns into punts from where they were on the field, they may be able to pull this game out.
Yeah, it's crazy to see Casey's offense just shut down like that. Because usually the fourth quarter is when they turn up, and I mean the same thing kind of happened in the Raiders game last season. They were going like drive for drive with the Raiders early, like the
Oh,
offense was really going, and then when it came late for the offense to turn up, they just shut down and they couldn't do anything.
the thing was, they moved the ball too. They
Hmm.
moved the ball like in those last 22 minutes. There wasn't a drive where they weren't moving the ball. They just gave up the ball. They just gave the ball to the Ravens in the end, and it was like, wow, I can't believe that they actually just got handed the game on a silver platter. It was wild. It was a great game though, and I mean, it was a heck of a way to conclude the Sunday action for week 2. And now we
Yeah,
just got Lions Packers left, and you guys will see that before you even see this. So, um,
hopefully.
and yeah, hopefully we don't like die in the next few hours. Um, you all set?
Yeah, I think we can cut this here.